How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we're going to be doing another frequently asked questions video for Stronghold Kingdoms. So this is going to be Stronghold Kingdoms FAQs part 2, basically. To get the ball rolling, we have our first question. Why can't I move village buildings? So now this is a question that comes up largely due to the fact that to move village buildings, you need to have a premium token in play on your account in that world. The reason this becomes confusing is because when a player is new to that world, they join that world, they go through the tutorial, they're given a 3-day premium token for free during that tutorial, and it's quite easy for the player to actually overlook that happening. So what happens then is they're used to the idea for those first 3 days that they can move buildings around their villages and therefore sort of optimize production in those villages. And then after that 3-day premium token expires, what basically happens is all those buildings are locked into position and can no longer be moved until another premium token is played. And it might not always be obvious that the premium token is what was causing the player to be allowed to move their buildings in the first place. So basically, if you're in this situation, you have one option, and that's to get more premium tokens. There are various ways to get premium tokens, some of them free, most of them you got to pay a little bit for them. It can be valuable though, it depends upon what your budget is. One thing that should be noted, however, is that the buildings in capitals can always be moved. So when we're talking about capitals such as parishes, counties, provinces, and kingships, basically all of those capitals have buildings in them as well, and you can move those buildings around without having a premium token in play, providing you are the owner of that capital. And lastly, I think it should be noted, because the question comes up from time to time, even with a premium token in play, you cannot move the castle structures in your castles. So basically you have the village aspect to a village, and then you have the castle aspect to the village. And the castle cannot be rearranged. You actually have to delete those. The village, it can be rearranged if you have the premium token in play at the time in that world. And it's also important to reiterate that the premium token is world-based and not account-based. So this means that if you play a premium token in World 1 and then transfer over to World 2 and start playing that world, the premium token only applies to World 1. Question number 2. Can I delete parish guilds and retain their bonus? So this is a bit of a complicated question because the rules change based on the age. So in the first age, you could delete productivity guilds, say for example your orchard workers guild, and you would still maintain the bonus in the villages in that parish that the orchard workers guild provided. This changed when Firefly started introducing additional ages. So the original plan that Firefly had was to end worlds after age 1. There was a bit of a backlash, pretty big backlash apparently, because they've strung it along for like 7 ages past that. But at the time, age 1 was supposed to be the cutoff point. What happened is we ended up with these new rule sets for additional ages, and many changes were made, although many of them were subtle. One of the changes was that now parish production guilds, like I said, the apple orchard workers guild, ones that influenced the production of goods in your villages in that parish, now would no longer apply their bonuses if they're removed from the parish via deletion. So what this basically means is that if you are currently in age 1 in a world, it is safe to delete those production buildings. But if you're in age 2 or greater, so that could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 7, if you delete those production guilds, the productivity bonus will be removed from that parish. Now, where things get really complicated is that recently, earlier in 2017, Firefly announced that the traditional age system would be replaced with an era system in new worlds. And this started with Europe 4. So when the Europe 4 server was released, it started with the era system instead of the age system. Now, the era system has its own set of rules, and one of them is actually that in regards to parish guild productivity bonuses, they will remain similar to the way it was in age 1. Now, there is no way of telling that if additional eras will change this, but at the moment, the era system is functioning like the age 1 rules did in regards to parish guild productivity interactivity bonuses and whether or not they will be removed when you delete the respect guild. Question number 3. In my reports, it shows that my attack won, but when I view the battle results at the end, it shows a loss. So this has been an issue for about as long as I've been around Stronghold Kingdoms, and it is attributed to a bug in the way the game displays the reports. Now, I know that there are some inconsistencies in this bug, and so basically it's not always the same outcome, but by and large, usually what happens is you get a report, and then you view that report, and that report shows that you won up until the part where the battle ends, and then the actual report screen comes up and says you lost. So pretty much everything up until that final screen reports a win, but the final report is reporting a loss, and those are the ones that players usually focus on. So it's quite possible that there are other reports out there in which the players actually are showing a loss, but then when they watch it all the way through, that final report pops up and it shows a win, and they just brush it off because it's a positive thing. I wouldn't know for sure, but I have seen this report, this bug report, come up again and again throughout my tenure with Stronghold Kingdoms. And as far as I remember, the official line from Firefly has always been that the final report is the correct one. As I said before, I think there has been some inconsistency in here, so it's quite possible that there are 2 bugs, but by far this is the most predominant one, and that has been, like I said, the party line, so to speak, when it comes to questions about what actually happened in these reports. Given the fact that it has been going on for as long as it has, I think it is rather unlikely at this point that we can expect anything to be done about it in future though, so it's basically one of those things that either you can tolerate from time to time, or it's going to cause you to rage quit the game, I suppose. Our last question number 4. The village I was trying to capture was razed before I reached it. Why didn't I get the honor I spent on that attack refunded? So there are a couple of points to be made here. When capturing a village, there are oftentimes 2 honor costs you're going to incur. The first is the base honor cost for attacking that player. So this is the honor cost you have to pay when pillaging a player, when ransacking a player, when vandalizing a player, capturing, razing. All of those costs must be paid up front. It means that when you launch your attack, that honor is deducted from your total honor, and as a result, it is not refunded even if you do not capture the village. So it's basically the cost to launch that attack rather than the cost to acquire a village. There is one way you can get that honor back, and that is by canceling your attack within the first 5 minutes. So when you're attacking other players, there is a grace period of 5 minutes in which you can cancel that attack, and if you do so, you'll get all of the honor that it costs to launch that attack back. However, if you didn't, then that honor is essentially lost forever, regardless of the results of that attack, especially applying capturing, because many times when players go out there and try to capture a village, the village is pre-raised, so that way they don't have access to it, but of course they still lose that honor. So that explains the cost to attack honor. Now there's also cost to acquire when it comes to acquiring villages over 10. So all the way up to 10 villages, you're allowed to acquire those villages at just the basic cost to attack honor cost. After the 10th village, so the 11th village and onwards, when you capture that village, it's going to cost you additional honor. So there is a basic difference between the cost to launch an attack and the cost to acquire a village over 10 villages. So when you're launching an attack, you're going to pay that cost up front, but then when it comes time to actually acquire that village, the game checks to see whether or not when your capture attack went through, did it win, did it lose? If you have that village, if that attack won, that capture attack won, then you'll now have to pay the cost to acquire village number 11, village number 15, whatever the cost is for the villages over 10. But the important point is that you do not get refunded the cost of honor to launch an attack, regardless of whether or not that attack is successful. And that's pretty much going to do it for today. If I wasn't quite clear in explaining any of the questions that I attempted to answer here, please feel free to let me know. You can get in contact with me via Discord or via email. Either of them is preferable to YouTube, but if you must, feel free to comment below with your questions as well, and I might get around to answering them. As always, thank you very much for watching though, and I hope to see you next time.